Shalom, it's Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet Good Torah. So I want to talk about something I saw in the Israeli news. It's a big controversial issue of like drafting the Haredim, drafting the Yeshiva students into the army. And we're going to get some information. I talked about it before. This is Rabbi Soroskin. I think it's Yisrael Moshe Soroskin, is Sefer Kates Megula. It's the end from the exile. It's translated. Some editions he has are translated in English as the end illuminated. And in it, Rabbi Soroskin, he comes out with this great framing of like what's going on in the whole Jewish world in a sense. There's a battle between Ain Od Milvado, where all the events that are happening to the Jewish people around the world, do we see it as all coming from Hashem, all coming from the infinite being that's created everything and runs everything? Do we see everything from Hashem? Or, and this is a very dangerous thing in the world, do we see it? And this is the secular Zionist government in Israel. They want to say what the Torah calls like kochi v'otzem yadi. The IDF, the secular politicians in Israel, they want to claim that everything's happening is like their power, like my power and the strength of my hand. And they want to claim that they're, the ones creating all these miraculous wars. And things have really changed, like militarily. I'll get into it real briefly. I'm going to bring up this article in a second, but it's very dangerous ideology. It endangers the Jewish people around the world, not just in Israel. And Chas v'shalom, I mean, it says in the last Mishnah in Masechta Sota that before the coming of Mashiach, it's going to be HaGalil Yecharav. The Galilee, the northern part of Israel, is all going to be destroyed. Bezrat Hashem, like it should be, the Jewish people, have evacuated, and it shouldn't be like any destruction of Jewish lives, just hopefully the destruction of homes and buildings. But we're facing this massive invasion from Hezbollah. There's still over 100 hostages in Gaza. The whole thing is so bizarre. So let me bring up this article. Let me see if I can get this article here. Why do I not see the share option? Let me see if I can find it. Sorry for a second. Okay, here. So I'm going to share the screen, and let me see if I can bring it up. Okay, let's see. I don't know why Zoom's not working for me right now. Just if you can bear with me for one more second. There we go. So now I'm going to bring up the news article. Okay, so what it says, so this is in the Times of Israel, and it says like Gallant, the defense minister, or he was the former defense minister, but I think now there's this massive coalition for the war that parties from the right and left, they're all coming together. So the defense minister says ultra-Orthodox or Haredi like must share the military burden. Announcement welcomed by Benny Gantz. Another, I think these are both left-wing politicians, met by vague Haredi threats that the issue could bring down the government. Let me see if I can go in here. Will it come down? Let's see. Okay, so, well, I went too far. Right, let me see if I can get it. So Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, he called for an end to the military draft exemptions for members of the ultra-Orthodox community. I don't know, the whole ultra-Orthodox label is so bizarre, or they call it Haredim. So Wednesday, and he said that he would only back legislation settling the matter if it's endorsed by centrist ministers Benny Gantz and Gadi Eisenkot. So his position, along with growing pressure on the government to reach a resolution on the long-deferred political hot potato, could set up a do-or-die clash with Haredi parties, the religious parties, to the survival of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's ruling coalition. Now, what's so strange about this article is, right, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he's more of a right-wing, like conservative politician. These other politicians, I believe, are left-wing. They weren't in power, and Prime Minister Netanyahu, he brought everyone together in this coalition just for the war. So, and now they're going back to this, wanting to draft the religious, Yeshiva students into the army and the IDF. So urging lawmakers to hash out legislation to address the situation in which most ultra-Orthodox men can skip mandatory service in favor of religious studies, meaning studying Torah in the yeshivas. And Gallant said manpower strains on the army amid fighting in Gaza and on the northern border require the contribution of all sectors of society. Okay, so let me see if I can just put this away right now. So let me see. So I'll go back here. Hopefully, we'll see. I want to go back to the camera, but I don't know what's going to work here. So go back to there. Let me try to close everything here. And I want to stop the share. There we go. Okay, sorry. A lot of technical difficulties there. All right, so it sounds on the surface, right? It sounds right. Like Israel's in this major war. They're fighting this war against Hamas in Gaza. And then they potentially, could start this war with Hezbollah in the north, which is very close to starting. And then the Houthis from Yemen are firing missiles into Israel, as also firing on U.S., British ships, all ships coming through the Red Sea, like stopping international commerce. And then, Iran has their soldiers right in Syria with the Syrian army. So it's a big hot mess. It's very dangerous. Now, on the surface, it seems like very logical. Okay, everyone should be fighting. Okay, but here's a little background that most people don't realize. The modern day Aliyah, the modern day return to Eretz Yisrael, it started, I believe, in like the 1600s, and it was the students of the Vilna Gaon, the Gra from Lithuania, from Vilna in Lithuania, and it was the students. So he was like the Litvish world, the Lithuanian Yeshiva world, and then the breakaway was the Baal Shem Tov, and he started the Hasidic movement, Hasidim, all the sects of Hasidim. And so the Gra and the Baal Shem Tov, I believe it was like the late 1600s, into the early 1700s, they started sending their students back to Eretz Yisrael because they felt like the time was growing close for Mashiach to come, and they wanted to start to rebuild Eretz Yisrael. Now, what people don't realize is all this secular Zionism, they really started to jump in the 20th century, like way after there was what's called the old Yishuv, and they started to build the new Yishuv. And a lot of people don't really know the history of Zionism that well, where people like Theodor Herzl, he wanted to create the new Jew. He wanted to create Jews completely atheist, secular, nothing to do with Torah, mitzvahs, chas v'shalom anymore. And there's been this tension, since the state of Israel was founded in 48. And it's a battle between perceiving the world and understanding that we need Hashem's help. And B'ezrat Hashem, the Jewish people are opening their eyes, opening their hearts. We're starting to do teshuvah. We're starting to return to Hashem. And there's so much going on in this direction. There's, all the teshuvah movements, like, places like Eshet Torah, Chabad, or Sameach, Shem. I know all the different programs. Sorry, Yad L'Achim, I think, is very big in Eretz Yisrael. There's all these programs, all these rebbeim, all these rebbitzins around the world trying to bring people back to Torah mitzvos, opening their homes and during Shabbos, come for Shabbos meals. Beautiful things going on college campuses all around the world. So birthright trips and, learning Torah. So it's all this amazing stuff. But there's this other group, and it's the philosophy of the Erev Rav, of trying to convince people that chas v'shalom, we don't need Hashem, and it's their strength, and it's very, very dangerous. And this is in the war we're in right now. So this is just a little bit of discussion. You guys may fall on both sides of the political divide right now, but we really need Hashem's help. And what Hashem's really shown us recently is that even though the IDF has massive military superiority over like a group like Hamas, they've still managed to maintain over 100 hostages in Gaza. And I don't exactly understand what's going on, but they haven't been able to rescue the hostages. And B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see something more miraculous, something better. We should see, the freeing of the hostages, the defeat of the enemies of the Jewish people. But it's this battle, that seeing everything's coming from Hashem or chas v'shalom, the secular view, that it's their strength, and it's very dangerous. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to talk a lot more about it today, and onward, and may Mashiach come today, and then that'll wrap things up pretty good. All right, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, help me out, like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I hope to see you back again soon on Sweet and Good Torah.